Over 20 years ago, games were definitely developed very differently. Back then, when they released a game, that is how it was released. There was no updates, no changes. What you get is what you get. Nowadays, games can take a caveat of releasing almost unfinished because they're just going to get updated later on. Super Smash Bros. Melee didn't really have that caveat. There is the base game of Melee and also the PAL version of Melee where they do make some small tweaks to the characters, some buffs or nerfs, and they even fix a Daisy statue with the eye on the back of her head. But generally, most things in this game were left unfinished in my opinion. Now, it is a very good game, and it's no doubt that we're going to be playing it for who knows how long because Melee is going to last longer than Smash Ultimate. I'm just calling it right now. But 13 months to finish a game is just not plausible. Nowadays, we're waiting years for games to come out. Pokemon likes to take like 2 to 3 years to get their next game. However long Cyberpunk was being developed for, and we're still waiting on GTA 6. Supposedly gonna launch in 2025, but we'll see. We're still waiting on a new Mario Kart entry as well. We as gamers are so greedy that we just want more and more and more, but we already have enough, honestly. But back to Melee. You see, in my last video, I talked about the 10 unfair moves of Melee. Moves that are almost too busted, too broken on characters that don't deserve them, where I quote, those moves add too much Parmesan to the pasta. In today's video, I'm going to be going over 10 unfinished moves in Melee. These are moves that are either not fully fleshed out in this game, are fully realized in other games, or just generally don't fill the role that they're supposed to when they are needed. It's not really in a particular order, but I'm going to try to order them in the most unfinished states, I feel. Before we get into this video, my name is Sam. If you like the video, make sure to press the like so the algorithm knows to spread it around. Subscribe? Great. Don't really have to. For number 10, we're going to talk about Yoshi. Yoshi's side B is definitely one of the worst moves in the game. It leaves him wide open, it doesn't do that much damage, and it doesn't kill. And while testing this out, I found out that if you use it on the side of a stage and hit a wall, you go into freefall. The hitbox doesn't really stay out for the majority of the time, and yes, it is very fast, but 90% of the stages we play on are short or don't have enough platforms to have to use that. This is what I call a platformer move, where it's mainly made for the adventure mode and not competitive play. I think as a Smash community, we sort of forget that the game is a platformer. It's not just a platform fighter. Adventure mode, Subspace Emissary, gone in the wind because we wanted a fighting game instead. And Yoshi's side B is just a result of not fitting the narrative that we want. It's not really unfinished because the move is functional, but for the function that we want, it doesn't work, it's unsafe, and it's just unreliable for if you do use it. The only time I remember somebody using it was Amsa going off stage to deal with Samus's bomb jump. And it's like, you don't really have any other uses for this niche move, so I'm calling it unfinished. Kirby's a very bad character. Well, I don't really think he's that bad, I just think that there's too many good characters. And he falls under the, this is a platforming character, not a fighting character. His moves don't really function that well. His forward smash hits in a weird direction, down smash doesn't kill that well. But side B, he swings the hammer around him to be able to cause some all-around damage. But the knockback is minuscule, it barely does any damage, and there's no way to combo out of it. The grounded version is a lot more strong if you hit the apex of the move. But the ridiculous length of the hammer handle makes it super hard to actually hit the sweet spot most of the time. Not only is it slow, you're battling characters that have plenty of options to avoid that. Are you going to hit a side B on a Falcon? Or are you going to hit it on a Marth who can literally forward smash you? I have found a niche use where if you use it on a character on a platform, you might be able to pop him off the ground, get a slight combo, or maybe even an up tilt up air. But that barely works most of the time. And he doesn't have the amount of pressure that he would need to fully convert off of that. The grounded variant is a lot more useful, being how it is technically a kill move, but I was testing this on Zelda. Since I was testing it on Zelda, it was killing at a lower percent, so any of the top tiers are going to have an easier time surviving this move. This move got handled way better in the later games. In Super Smash Bros. Brawl, they actually turned it into a horizontal spin flip where it hits twice, and the move is just generally easier to hit on the ground now. But fun fact, in the first trailer for Super Smash Bros. Brawl, they actually showed off the old variant of this move, but then when the game got released, it was taken out. Later on in the games, they make it so that Kirby can charge it to do a huge amount of damage, and if you don't charge it up in the air, you get the same spin flip like you do in Brawl. This move is very unfinished for the fact that it doesn't fulfill a role, it leaves him very unsafe, and it's further realized in the next games. I mean, they realize that they totally fucked up with this one. So Ness is a floaty character that has a great double jump cancel. He has good up air, good forward air for range. His specials are pretty bad though, and not really anything to write home about. I mean, down B is literally useless for most of the character roster. But I'm not really talking about his specials, I'm talking about his down smash and his up smash. These moves are annoying in Ultimate because you can have them linger off the ledge and catch people with no hitbox on their recoveries, like Pit. Or you can 2-frame people with teleport recoveries like Zelda. It's an easy 2-frame tool. So how does the melee one set up? Barely kills, barely does any damage, barely knocks anybody out, and I even found a bug that probably nobody has actually found out before. If the yo-yo is off the ledge, here, check it out. You can use it just fine over here, but as soon as the yo-yo goes more than half off ledge, he's unable to charge it up. I'm just finding that out super weird. Now, you are able to barely have the yo-yo go off the edge and linger, and it does actually have a hitbox, but compared to Smash Ultimate, it just pales in comparison. So, you have a move that does have a little bit of range, being how it doesn't really knock people away that much. Could possibly use it as an anti-air, except at the ledge, or over any platform where it's too small. Like, the amount of places that you can use this move is only in the center of the stage or only in the tiny center of a platform. Now, of course, I did have a lot of fun playing around with the yo-yo glitch. If you don't know what the yo-yo glitch is, basically you go up and charge your up smash, you wait for the first hitbox to hit and for Ness to glow once, then you release it, and there will be just an invisible hitbox there that when you use your next move, it'll transfer that hitbox all the way to your character in one frame, meaning that you get interactions like this. Or you can even store the hitbox on you with the famous Thunder Jacket. By using up B and grabbing the ledge, it'll stick stuck on you until you touch something. The move is already pretty unfinished not being able to use it at ledge, but this is a completely replicatable bug that has happened in tournament a couple times. It's not really the winning condition of it, but it's at least nice to have an unfinished move work out in your favor. Okay, Bowser. In my last video I got it wrong and said that Pichu and Jigglypuff were the ones that didn't receive damage. It's actually Game & Watch and Jigglypuff. I did the testing because I'm a big old dopehead. What I also wanted to test out is the Super Mushroom and the Poison Mushroom to see if it would change the weight, change the knockback, see if it actually did any damage. And unfortunately it still doesn't do damage even when the characters are bigger or smaller, or when Bowser is bigger or smaller. And even more of a fun fact, if your opponent has a Poison Mushroom and Bowser has a Super Mushroom, he just can't grab them. You know, maybe he can grab a Marth, I just didn't want to see. It's just funny. And even more of a funny thing is that when you do grab a small opponent while you're big, like this clip, he's small, I'm big, he gets knocked back almost to the blast zone. So I find it weird that the knockback scales, but the damage doesn't. And to add insult to injury, he has a side B command grab, which actually does kill off back throw, or if you forward throw them with the command grab, you can combo out of it. Using his grab regularly doesn't make any sense. when you are able to get more value off of a side B. Now, you might be able to use grab out of shield about a lot more, but already if you're using Bowser, if you're grabbing out of shield, you're playing wrong. It's only up B out of shield. If you touch that shield, you're fucking... So yeah, not only his down throw broken, but his entire grab is just unfinished and unusable. There's no reason to have to use any of his regular grabs when you have his command grab. Okay, for the next one, I'm going to talk about Mewtwo. Now, Mewtwo's a very, I'm going to call him niche character, because you have players around here who don't really play him that much, but then you have Leffen who's able to dominate the entire EU. He's a very sporadic character and can do plenty of things as long as he's not getting comboed himself, or getting hit by that massive ass fucking tail. I think you already know the move that I'm going to be talking about, and it's Side B. See, Side B doesn't reflect any projectiles, it just bounces them back. It doesn't really fit the reflector rules of, well, you reflected the move and then it's going to multiply its knockback and do more damage, causing the move to actually have some weight to it. Instead, this move is also a command grab, which means that you can grab somebody and also reflect at the same time. Which leads to one of the banned techniques, which is known as the Soul Breaker. Now, in tournament, the Soul Breaker glitch will probably never come up, not unless you're able to somehow glitch in an item. I don't even know if Peach's Turnips would actually do the same thing or not. They probably would run out of time before you're able to reflect it 5 times. And I spent way too much time trying to replicate this. But this move was specifically nerfed by the developers because they thought, well, you can grab an opponent and reflect items, let's make it so the items don't do anything. It's almost like if you were to use a counter and it just knocks your opponent away but doesn't do any damage. Functionally the same, but still horrible. Now, I'm not going to ask for broken moves or anything, but they really wanted to worry about this move being power creeped on instead of like Falco Laser or Fox Shine. I mean, if you want to hear all the unfair moves, just watch the last video. This move just doesn't deserve it, honestly, and it's just very unfinished in my opinion. Especially since they went back on that in later years when they totally released it in Smash 4 with the move able to reflect. So they knew they messed up with that one and they didn't have the chance to fix it, because the game was released at a time where updates didn't come out, and he wasn't in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. They gave Lucario. Clearly they're trying to rethink their power creep status of what a character should be and shouldn't be able to do. But yeah, Side B, very unfinished, very unusable. If you use it, you shouldn't be on Battlefield trying to cheese them under the stage. Luigi definitely didn't get some love in Smash 64 or in Melee, because they just didn't give him an ender to his dash attack. Now, everybody knows at this point that the dash attack doesn't have an ending hitbox. Whoopsie-doo, we don't gotta use that much time on this one. It doesn't really affect Luigi that much in his playstyle because he's able to wave dash across the stage, and he doesn't have to worry about that dashing approach. It does do decent damage, and sometimes if people aren't expecting it, it can catch them off guard. But most of the time, your opponent will be able to react before your move's even finished, because you're basically hitting them with negative knockback and not hitting them with a finisher. This is probably the most unfinished move in Melee, and the rest of them are completely biased, actually. We all know that Bowser's down smash doesn't do damage on Jigglypuff or Game & Watch, and we all know that Luigi's dash attack doesn't have an ending hitbox. I mean, what else is there to say about that? They fixed it in the later games, thankfully, and in Smash Ultimate they made it a kill move. I think that's a nice justice for the move that literally didn't get finished for the first 2 games. Another one that everybody knows about is Game & Watch. He's not able to out-cancel all of his moves. That's one thing. His shield. That is egregious. How dare they release this character without an actual way to defend himself? In order to get the shield to cover him all the way, you have to lightly tap the button to light shield, honestly. I mean, certainly not a fair thing to have to deal with, especially against Marth on platforms where he gets this for free. Completely unfair, but it's only because of the unfinished move. I'm sure if Game & Watch got those quality of life changes to make him L-cancel all his moves, and to actually give him a full shield, that he'd be more popular, because he is a very good character with good options. He was just completely made unfinished. He probably could have been at the top of the list, honestly, but I'm taking this chance to be a little bit biased because it's my video, and if you watch this long, you clearly want to see what my bias is. Okay, the last three characters, yeah, they're a little bit biased, but for good reason, for the fact of they are truly unfinished moves in my opinion. They don't function when you want them to, they cause you to get yourself in more danger or harm when you do try to use them, and their code was just completely ruined, I feel. Not only by the game's engine, but the short development time. Young Link up smash is pretty fucked. For one, if you hit it at the apex of the last hit, it sends sideways. Imagine having to kill up the side with up smash. It's sort of similar to if you use Fox's up smash underneath somebody on a platform and it'll just hit the tip of his foot. But Young Link's up smash is a move that has to set up for itself. It has to hit all three hits for you to actually get the most value out of it. Sure, you can just hit the last hit and hopefully get the strong hitbox, but then you have interactions like this where at 999%, not all of them are going to connect, or you can just DI out of it. In fact, spoiler alert, these last three moves that I'm going to be going over are literally spoiled by Smash DI. What is Smash DI? Basically, when you get hit by a move, you're able to influence your character's direction by the way you hold. Now, that's DI, when you get hit by a move and then afterwards you're able to do it. Smash DI is during the move, so you can literally smash a corner of your joystick just to get yourself out of one of these moves. In fact, you don't even have to smash it, you can just hold a direction. Like, proof is in the pudding. Now, of course, going over the same multi-hit rules, Pichu is the joke character of Melee. He's not supposed to be good, he is supposed to cause damage to himself when he uses electric moves, and he is small. He's going to be a bit hard to use in any fashion because, yes, he's harder to hit, but as soon as you do hit him, he is going to go flying. And yes, he does hurt himself with electricity, but whatever Pichu players are out there have figured out a way of when to use them and when not to use them. For multi-hits, his down B is a multi-hit instead of a single hit like Pikachu's, and this causes him a little problems when trying to get that cheeky gimp at the top of the map, but generally the worst move he can use is forward smash. Here is it at 999%. I'm not even holding any direction and it doesn't even kill because it doesn't link me into the strong hitbox. Like, this move is almost completely consequential for the Pichu because the move fails to actually do its job, to kill. And this is a very good kill move too if you hit the sweet spot. I think it's actually more powerful than Pikachu's. It does a decent amount of damage, and the knockback is pretty darn good. It's just the fact that people fall out of it way too often for it to actually be a viable option. I could label this as a platformer move, but it's not a competitive move, and it's certainly not going to be killing Master Hand anytime soon. Plus the move damages you, so you're literally making yourself worse by using this move. Before we get into the number one character, here's some honorable mentions. Roy's aerials are garbage. They don't really fulfill any function unless you hit the hilt of the sword, but then you're virtually inside them, and if you're going to be inside them, you might as well play Jigglypuff. None of his aerials are viable for anything, maybe keeping people out, but it's not like they're threatening. There's nothing threatening about a Roy coming off stage to use a forward air because he's actually threatening himself. I would never ask for them to be made stronger or for them to actually do crazy knockbacks because it is supposed to be the reverse of Marth, where Marth has the tippers and Roy has the, I call them, inners. I would almost classify Roy as the Little Mac of the game, where his recovery is not the best, his aerials suck, and he's just way better on the ground in general. I mean, there's not really much to his character other than forward smash, down B, and down tilt. Ganondorf side B was originally on the list, but then it just functions way better than the other moves on this list. You know, side B, he's able to link together a couple times in low percents, and he's able to combo at low percents. But then once they get above 70, you're not able to link any move together. And then it's even worse for the aerial version of it because it doesn't spike, it leaves him wide open and sends him into freefall afterwards, and it just generally doesn't even send them far enough. I mean, the aerial version is way worse than the grounded version, and the grounded version doesn't really fulfill any roles compared to down B or forward air. It's not really unfinished or unusable, but it's certainly one that just loses its purpose the longer the game goes on. The last honorable mention is DK. You know, in later games they made it so that if you're in the air to use hand slap, it spikes people, it can combo people if they're on the ground, or if you're landing with it on the ground, which is, you know, a really nice way to have a move evolve. But with how it started out, it is completely and utterly useless, honestly. It doesn't even kill at 999, it doesn't combo, and the only reason you use this move is to win in Falco with 100-man melee or play the 15-man melee so you can get the Congo jungle stage. Whoop-de-doo. Surprise, surprise. Okay, number one, I'm sorry for being this biased, but it's Zelda. I think Zelda has two unfinished moves. She goes through the same issues that Pichu does, but more because she has two of them that are useless. You can both pop out of up smash and forward smash. A little bit less on forward smash because of the angle she's using, but it's still possible. I mean, it's completely possible to live at 999, it's completely possible to just pop out and punish her. These things should not happen with a move, especially for a character that really needs those little wins. Like, if we had a usable up smash, we would have a really nice anti-air. If forward smash was an actual good option at, like, killing and not having to worry about them popping out, you would actually be able to use that as a decent ranged option, or to snuff out some approaches. Forward smash would be able to stop an approaching Falcon knee. But unfortunately, we are living in the world where multi-hits just don't work in this game, where characters can drill wave shine me across the stage and I just have to take it. Meanwhile, as soon as I get an up smash, I'm the one punished. You know, make it make sense. These moves that I talked about do not make sense in the Smash context of they don't work all the time. So that's where I'm leaving it. This was 10 unfinished moves in Super Smash Bros. Melee. If you liked the video, make sure to like it so the algorithm knows to spread it around. And if you subscribe, I'd appreciate it because I like making these videos. I make random content. Check out my channel to see if you find anything you like. And if you have any comments, questions, or anything, leave it in the comments below because I will respond to everybody. So until then, I'll see you in the next one.